this would make really all Ridley Scott films to be considered to have an extended universe. So the films would relate to one another like the Disney Marvel movies. I kind of like it, so I think we're going to run with that theory here, and we're going to say yes, it is the same universe, and that there are replicants in the Alien films. So the special features of the DVD are also fantastic. They have all the information you could wish to find on the movie, and that's where I learned most of the information. I went back and watched some of those to get some of the real interesting stuff. So continuing with the aliens here, Lance Henriksen, he plays the robot Bishop. He mentions that he's from New York, and after the AD, the associate director, put his hand on his chest, he was kind of motioning for where Hendrickson should go, and he put his hand on his chest, I don't know, I guess slightly violently, but Henriksen responded by saying, I will kick your butt if you ever touch me like that again. Henriksen was further angered by hearing the AD say, all right, well, bring in the artiste. Henriksen did admit that he had experienced a language barrier in that moment, even though they both speak English. It's a different type of English. Another interesting thing in the film was tea time. Tea time was a major annoyance for James Cameron. Right when they were getting ready to shoot, the door would open up on the set, and it would cause all the fake smoke to get sucked out of the room, and in would walk this the tea lady, as they call her, and she would enter with her tea cart, pushing it along, and the British cast and crew immediately was ready for the tea, and they were really happy for their tea. It's a very important cultural deal for them. Meanwhile, Cameron was getting incredibly annoyed with the crew, but also kind of unfairly annoyed with the tea lady. There was really nothing that Cameron could do because it was a union regulation there in Britain. And according to the British crew, it only took 15 minutes, but to Cameron, it was definitely an interruption. The English cast does explain that this is the only time that they're able to get any tea. This is at 10 a.m. in the morning, and there was no breakfast service. There's no craft services table. This is the time to get something to eat, to get some tea, to get charged up to make the film, get ready for the day. There was, however, another tea break at 4 p.m., so it looks like 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Bill Paxton, however, mentions it wasn't 15 minutes, it wasn't brief. He says that some of the people left for a long break, and that they even had a pub on the studio lot where set members could actually drink beer on the job if they'd wanted to. Cameron was dealing with what is described as a strike and a riot eventually. That's horrible for a film. Every day on a film set, it costs money. So that's why they have to do these things within a certain time frame. But because Cameron was dealing with the strike and the riot, it was really difficult to continue production. It was actually Sigourney Weaver who successfully brought everybody together, and she was able to get everybody to get along well enough to actually end up making a fantastic film. So when it came to designing some of the futuristic weapons, what they did was they found reliable blank firing weapons, and they just built a futuristic look on top of that. The cast was actually given a table full of military gear, and they were asked to outfit their own characters appropriately and personally. The Marines, or the cast of actors, were physically trained as if they were actually in the active military. Now, Sigourney Weaver was not part of this training because her character was not in the military. She's not part of the Colonial Marines. The practical effects in this film are fantastic, including costumes and vehicles, and we can thank Stan Winston for that. Sigourney Weaver did have an issue with how much violence was in the plot, but she also admitted that she hadn't actually read the whole script. I guess she had just kind of skimmed it, or maybe skimmed her parts, but at the very end, there's a scene where she has to go charging in and rescue a little girl that they find there on the planet. And she was shocked by how much violence that she was actually supposed to do herself in the film. The practical effects in this film are actually, okay, conversely, because Sigourney Weaver said she really had an issue with all the violence in the plot. Bill Paxton, on the other side, said that he actually loved all the action in the film. And he also loved that he got to play such an interesting and standout character. So, and that was in Hudson. Now, Al Matthews portrays the Sarge for all the Colonial Marines, and he actually has military experience fighting in Vietnam. He also served as the leader for the cast of Marines, and although it was Sigourney Weaver who was kind of the overall leader of all the actors, he was kind of the leader of the Colonial Marines crew that they had going on there. Now, while burning parts of the set with their flamethrowers for specific scenes in the film, both Paxton and Jeanette, who plays Vasquez in the film, had difficulty breathing because part of the set was made of plastic, causing toxic fumes. They said that they tried to take a breath, but it was like there was no air in the room. That sounds horrible. They did eventually take off the roof of the set, and that allowed for proper ventilation. And then also the armored personnel carrier, it's kind of the car that they drive from their dropship into the planet. It was actually a towing vehicle for 747 jetliners. They actually all had to be really careful not to crash it because of how powerful the vehicle was. The APCs in reality actually had a 6-foot diameter wheel. The design that Cameron had drawn himself and what he thought up was a 10-foot diameter wheel, and they were able to find these at the airport, and because they were outfitting the airport with new machines, they were able to get one of the old ones used, and just happened to be 6 feet diameter of a wheel. So freedom of movement was a big thing that Cameron wanted for his aliens when it comes to practical effects and costumes. And that's something that they incorporated into the design of the Alien Warrior's suit. This is really the main difference between the first Alien and its sequel, Aliens. And another thing is the Alien's head has more of a ribbed design, whereas in the first Alien, the head is smooth. I'm curious why it was different like that. Cameron is a very creative filmmaker, and actually many of the shots were done in reverse, like a scene with Hicks shooting the alien on the APC, and also the facehugger alien chasing Ripley and Newt in the lab. And then the full-size alien queen was actually also a giant costume. It was 2 men hung from a large crane, and they were hanging side by side, and they were both working the queen arm. So it would be the outside arm. The queen has 4 arms on her chest, so it would be the outside arm and the inside arm, and then the guys are just there right next to each other. It was a pretty interesting effect, and she actually still looks magnificent, even still here in 2022. Now, I keep mentioning Newt, a small girl that they found out there on the planet. Carrie Henn ended up playing Newt, and she actually did not continue to act after that. She actually is now a grade school teacher, but she does still get together for interviews or any of the Alien reunions that they have. And she just kind of puts her 2 cents in on the production of the movie. Now, the composer, this is actually pretty interesting. The composer sat and waited for 3 weeks because they were actually still filming the movie. Everything took so long, and the 30-year-old sound studio was also outdated that they had there at Pinewood Studios. Even though they were late, they also couldn't even compromise by giving James Horner any more time. They said, "You've got 4 days to finish the song," and he had wanted to make more changes last minute, but because everything was rushed, he wasn't able to. So he's not completely satisfied with the overall work of the score, but I don't notice anything when I listen to the movie. It's not distracting in the least. After a hiatus from working with Cameron, Horner was actually offered the chance to compose the score for Titanic, which actually won Best Original Dramatic Score, and he also won Best Original Dramatic, Best Original Song for My Heart Will Go On. I'm sure a lot of y'all can remember. It was performed by Celine Dion, and he won the Oscar for that. Pretty interesting. Well, the film Aliens ended up being a massive, massive respected hit. It was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Sigourney Weaver for Best Actor. Now, especially back in the 80s, sci-fi horror wasn't usually recognized by the Academy, so this was quite an achievement to be able to get that going. And I was going to go ahead and just kind of briefly touch on Alien 3. These are definitely spoilers for the series. This is the third film in the series, and really is not exceptionally good. The alien screen time is limited, and the film is also generally universally hated by Alien fans. One of the worst things is killing two beloved characters from Aliens with a space shuttle crash. Now, Newt and Michael Bihn's character, Corporal Dwayne Hicks, were unceremoniously murdered by the film's writers, and we can blame Vincent Ward, I guess. At the end of Aliens, spoilers, at the end of Aliens, it's Newt, Michael Bihn's character, Corporal Hicks, and Ripley who all survive. And they all get into pods. Anyway, Alien 3 opens up, and Ripley's curious as to where the people were who, she got to that planet with. And they said that they were incinerated on entry of the atmosphere, something like that. They were beloved characters, and people wanted to see them survive, considering they survived the horrors and the action in Aliens. So Alien 3 takes place in an interstellar prison, with Ripley being the only woman on the planet. She has to deal with violent prisoners, as well as an all-new type of xenomorph. In this film, the alien actually bursts out of a Rottweiler instead of the usual human being. It's got a different design. I guess they try to make it more canine than human. You can just go ahead and skip this one, or if you really do enjoy the first two movies, you can go ahead and watch it if you'd like. I do have to say, though, even though it's not a fantastic alien film, it is the directorial debut of the great David Fincher, who 3 years later delivers the gem of a film, the crime thriller Seven. That stars Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, and it is absolutely fantastic. We will definitely talk about that film in the future. Let's head on over to the playlist for some music.